There we are. Sorry about that. Technical issues. Has the dream ended? Is the dream over? Is the Alexander Isak dream over? Um, welcome to another Transfer Daily. It's been absolutely popping off, hasn't it, since the morning? And you could tell we've been talking about it. The next 24 to 48 hours are absolutely critical, and that's what is proven to be more than critical. In all fairness, it's all about knocking on the Newcastle door, asking about Alexander Isak, asking Newcastle, have you got the bottle to say no? And to, in all fairness, you have to give credit to Newcastle. It looks like at the moment, because as someone mentioned it in the chat, that no one's really told us yet the Alexander Isak deal is completely off. But I would say, look, we have to take the hint sometimes, where a lot of the journalists are now, reporting. I think as it just went live, Ben Jacobs tweeted as well that Liverpool, I think Fabrice Hawkins tweeted around about an hour ago as well, that Liverpool have agreed a 6-year contract with Hugo Ekitike. And now it's all about working out the structure of the terms with Frankfurt and the deal. I think on last Monday, they rejected around about 65 million bid from Newcastle, or maybe it was just a bit more than that. So if anyone knows the exact figure, please confirm it. But whatever it was, it got rejected. And to be fair to Liverpool, we were in a position of control. We knew Alexander Isak, the deal for him is going to be very, very difficult. And what has been the killer? The killer, unless there's some sort of late 11th hour twists, which I don't think there will be, in all fairness. I think there will be. The killer was with Alexander Isak has 3 years left on his contract, and we were coming from a position of control, and that's what has meant that he will stay at Newcastle United this summer. They may offer him a new contract. He may sign it. He may not. He may even sign it with a buyout clause. And I think that's what will happen. If he is going to be told that you're not going to get your dream move to Liverpool this summer, then he will, and his agent and representatives will say, okay, fine, but reward me now and prove to me that I am, your prized asset. Because at the moment, when it comes to wages, you're not telling me I'm your prized asset, and you're not telling me I am worth 150 to 200 million pounds, because those are the figures that you were putting out in the media around about 3-4 weeks ago. So in Alexander Isak's shoes right now, he hasn't got the move. He doesn't look like he's going to get the move, but he will want some better terms when it comes to his wages, and that might mean Newcastle trying to tying him to an extension, a couple of years on his contract. But I think Alexander Isak will want to move next year, because I think he is a player that needs to be playing for the biggest clubs in the world. And whether that means is Liverpool next year, which probably means it's unlikely, because we've got Ekitike now, and Liverpool will want him to really grow into the next Alexander Isak, if I may say so. But the time will tell. Liverpool have spent 85 million pound on the number 9s that haven't worked out. But some would say that wasn't an FSG or Michael Edwards type of signing. So time will tell. Going over to the next summer, Alexander Isak may get a move to Barcelona. You'd say that he'd be a natural fit and a replacement for someone like Lewandowski. When it comes to Barcelona, it also comes to their finances. Can they stump up the money? Can they do a bit of juggling around with their players in and out? It always seems an absolute mess with Barcelona, doesn't it? And even when they do get the player, they register him at the 11th hour, because they've got a million other things to do. And I can remember reading something last year where they were selling some TV rights off, part of the club off, and they've got themselves into a right mess. But the problem is that the attraction is still there. Let's make no mistake about that. There's already 450 people of you in the chat. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and head over to the BNR Ultras as well. If you don't know what that is, it's basically you have to become a YouTube member. You'll start getting exclusive content coming your way in the next couple of weeks or so. But in the meantime, we've also created a WhatsApp group that you can enjoy talking to the Reds. And as I mentioned yesterday, that it's an unbelievable group. A lot of people know their football on there, and that has probably become my favorite and the most busy group on the WhatsApp. So whether it's information you want, whether it's some just general footy talk, and we've got in the WhatsApp group some of the best aggregators on there as well. So you don't need to go into any other group. You just go there, get your news, and then talk football. And Asim, who was the man of the match yesterday, he is in the building again. Smash the likes, people. It looks like we've got our very unofficial mod in the building, and I don't need to rely. I can always rely on an Asim and an Asim not actually. So if there was more Asims in the world, it'd be a lot better place. Zaid member, thank you very much. Asim, I've DM'd you for the group. Add me in, bro. Okay. Is that on Twitter that you've DM'd me, please? And just give me another nudge as well. As you can imagine, my DMs are absolutely going crazy right now. First super chat of the show. Thank you so much for sending this through, LFCR786. Got a mad feeling we're going to get Ekitike, Rodrygo, and Gordon. Wow. It's possible now that we've got 60 million spare, and the Diaz and Nunes, Elliot Chiesa, and Doak sales, which can come to 200 million pounds. Look, have we got the money? Yes. We were discussing this yesterday that I think if we got Isak, because of the total package, it could have hit 130, 140 million pounds with some stupid add-ons. We're going to be always included on there. But I think Rodrygo, Gordon, and Ekitike might be a bit too much this summer. But look, is it beyond the realms of possibilities? No. But I think Liverpool have been getting linked with some low-value strikers as well, haven't they? We've even seen some links to Rashford, Mateta, Mikatadze, not so much. But he's the kind of guy that you would pick up for 30, 40 million pound max. So look, would I want that? Of course. But where would you play Gakpo then? Because if you've got Ekitike up top, and if you spend 75 million to 80 million pounds on him, I know he wants a bit of bedding in time, but you're bringing him to be your number 9, aren't you? You have to give him that chance to excel and prove himself, and we will. But I just cannot see it myself. What I can see is a situation where Liverpool bring in a Rodrygo and an Ekitike, and then maybe look at someone like a Mateta, someone like who else is there? Number 9. Talk to me, guys. Watkins. Watkins might be. Thing is that stopgap type of signing to replace, Diogo Jota. You still, to get someone decent for a Liverpool standard, you'd have to spend 30, 40 million pounds. So maybe for a stopgap signing, the new 15, 20 million pound is a 30, 40 million pounds. The new 50 million pound is 75 million pounds. It's the world we live in, unfortunately. But that's where we are at. And I have to commend Liverpool. I was having this conversation yesterday with some friends saying, look, are some Arsenal fans. Sully, I don't think Sully's in the house, but Alamin is. He's always trolling as well as Sully. But he was saying, look, Liverpool need to go sign Ekitike if you are telling me that Liverpool are in a position of control. And I was giving him, look, of course we are in a position of control. We know the Isak deal is going to be difficult. He's got 3 years left on his contract. The Saudis want to keep their prize asset and all that sort of stuff that we've been discussing over the last 24 hours. But Liverpool have said, okay, fine. If you're not going to talk to us about Isak and you're going to keep him for the next 12 months, then we're going to go get your next Alexander Isak replacement, the one and the player that you've been trying to sign for 2-3 times. I think Newcastle have tried around about 3-4 times now to sign at least 2 instances that I can remember. I think they even tried to signing for around about 40 to 45 million pounds a couple of seasons ago before they signed Isak. So they know the player. And for a club like Newcastle to keep on going in for someone like a Hugo Ekitike, it does give you some really good signs that they obviously rate him. And if they have accepted, behind closed doors, that even if Alexander Isak signs a new contract, I think he will have some sort of buyout get out clause next 12 months where he, facilitates himself, or makes it easier for himself to leave the club next year. And there may be a mutual agreement as well, officially or unofficially, I don't know. But even if it's unofficial, Newcastle know that they've got him 2 years next year where they have to do something, whether you have to sign on the dotted line, it could be another buyout clause next year. It doesn't really matter. Newcastle have extended his contract. That's the main thing. And then it's up to another team to come and put that money down on the table. But next year, they have to do something. You have to reiterate that. And the thing is, they've kept their prize asset. They're going to go for a few more players now. But there is something weird happening at Newcastle as well, because they can't get a deal over the line, bar Ilanga, who they had to go in a couple of times in for as well. So they've lost out on Buemo. They've lost out on James Trafford. Whether they go back in for these players remains to be seen. But I think Newcastle wanted some clarity as well. And some of the conspiracy theorists were saying Newcastle played us, where they knew that bid is going to come for Liverpool, and they were waiting for Alexander Isak to come back to the club, have those conversations with Eddie Howe and the management and the hierarchy upstairs, and make his feelings known. And I believe Alexander Isak did make his feelings known to Liverpool, that he wants to Newcastle, that he wants to move this summer. But they had the conversation with him saying, we believe in you, you're our main guy, and you're staying. And whether that sort of materializes into a new contract and stuff we already discussed. But Liverpool then had to make a move. They had to draw the line draw a line in the sand, and moved for a player that I believe had negotiations, talks, call it what you want, with Liverpool. Liverpool has sounded out Ekitike a long, long time ago. And for me, that is the reason why nobody got Hugo Ekitike over the line. And Frankfurt had to entertain bids, whether it came from United, whether it came from Newcastle recently, and whether even the interest came from Chelsea, that we saw the links pop up around about 3-4 weeks ago before they got João Pedro. So I think Liverpool have told this player that you can't exactly say, look, we want Isak, we're coming for you. I think ultimately he would probably know as well that he would be second choice. But I think someone like an Ekitike, who's 22, 23 years old, there's no shame in being second choice to Alexander Isak. But his attitude personally has been, look, fine, if you don't get Isak, who any club in the world would want, I'm going to go and prove that I'm the main man at Liverpool. I'm at a young age. I've proven it in the last year with 15 goals and 8 assists in the German league. Whatever you think of the German league, that's not a bad return for a player who made his move from PSG a couple of years ago. So I think Liverpool have not just panic buying here. They know the player. They know the analytics on him. And there is a lot of potential. Look, I'm not going to lie and sit here. I'm his biggest fan from what I've seen. Very, very little of. Let me just caveat that with everything I say about Hugo Ekitike, and I have said that in the past. And a few friends were, again, Sully, the Arsenal fan, has said, I'm going to clip everything you've said about Ekitike over the last couple of months. But look, I'm some fab updates I'll get to in a second. I've got it. Thank you, Malachi. I think Liverpool believe in this player, and as many journalists today, including David Ornstein, Romano, and a few others, have said, Liverpool have liked this player. Ekitike was always about joining Liverpool first, and you have to commend his attitude, where he's seen Liverpool, the champions of England, go for their number one target. But he knew maybe deep down that this deal is difficult. Hence why he probably didn't entertain Newcastle. He didn't entertain Man United. He didn't entertain Chelsea. So look, I absolutely wish that he comes and he absolutely, smashes it out for us and sets the hits the ground running. And um, I think he will, because Liverpool have got, the right environment. They've got Wirtz, they've got Salah, they've got, so many good players, leaders in the team. And the pressure is, look, him coming and, expecting to kick off a Liverpool career here with 20 goals a season on a consistent basis. But Liverpool will make sure that he gets the right training, the right coaching, and the right environment to flourish. And if it isn't happening, they have got the quality and the depth to get him out of the firing line for 2-3 games and then go again. So this is the beauty about Liverpool. And when you strengthen from a position of power and position of strength, this is the luxury that you have, where you're absolutely desperate in the transfer market. You're panic buying, you're paying premiums, you're paying add-ons, you're paying crazy wages, and then the pressure of on the field as well. All those things Liverpool haven't got the pressure of, because they've got the quality and they've got the depth. And when you strengthen in a position of from a position of strength, you can give time to the players. And look, I'm not his biggest fan, and was Alexander Isak the dream? Of course he was, but whenever I have seen him, and I've been really consistent with about Ekitike, that when I have seen him, he has been really, really neat and tidy. And when it comes into the perspective of how he will fit into the Arnie Slot system, it gives me, and it takes me back to what Arnie Slot said a year ago in pre-season when he was playing Jota in that little pocket. And he said, look, our system will be completely different when we get a proper number 9 in. And what he meant is Darwin Núñez. And we know exactly what happened with Darwin Núñez over the course of the season. And there was just a breakdown of trust, and maybe a breakdown of relationship as well. But with Ekitike, whenever I've seen him, he has got the technical quality. And I think that's where the downfall for Darwin Núñez was. If you're going to come into the pockets and, create a box midfield and interchange with your number 10, you have to have the technical ability. He needs to probably fill up a bit and get stronger, because the Premier League league is a lot more physical, as we know, a lot faster. But that will, naturally come with, natural development. So look, what we have to say is, and I tweeted a couple of hours ago, that if someone came up to you a couple of months ago and said, you're going to get Frimpong, you're going to get Kirkes, you're going to get Margehi, I know some of the deals are not done, but judging by a lot of the stuff that's going out coming out this morning, it looks like we're going to be in for Anthony Gordon or a Rodrygo from Real Madrid. I think if someone came up to you with those options as your potential signings this summer, you would have taken it in a heartbeat. You would absolutely grabbed their hand and bitten and chewed every single thing of it, because you have to say this has been an unbelievable window if we get those in. And the crown jewel is Florian Wirtz. And if we didn't get, I'm sorry, Shakira, I did forget Florian Wirtz. That is the crown jewel. And we've taken our age profile down as well. Kirkes, all these guys who are coming at a very, very good age. And they are at a point now, they've proved it, and they've won championships as well at their respective clubs when it comes to Frimpong and when it comes to Wirtz as well. And they won good trophies, really, really good. And they played at a Champions League level. And now it's up to them to take it to a world-class level and establish Champions League players. And that's what Liverpool always look at. 150 to 250 games, a really good profile in the next last 2-3 years, and come to Liverpool and prove it, and you can go to the next level. And we have to be really, really pleased. I've been a big critic of FSG in the past. I've been an FSG out member as well, not an official member. They don't exist, but you know what I mean. So I have to give credit to him. You cannot be stubborn or an idiot and say Liverpool have been absolutely on it. We've pinpointed our targets and we've had our shortlist. And this is what I meant about Ekitike being an alternative. Liverpool have shown a track record of this summer talking to Ryan Cherki in the south of France, just in case the Florian Wirtz in the 11th hour goes kaput. And we've got someone like a Ryan Shirky, whether it was still trying to get in there ahead of Manchester City, whether it was just being respectful, maybe it's a bit of both to the whole situation. But Liverpool will always do their homework with number 1, number 2, and number 3. And maybe this is the reason why there were so many low value strikers linked in. But I've just got a feeling if Liverpool can do one more, and it is a low value striker that keeps their powder dry as well for the left winger in Rodrygo, I've just got a sneaky feeling, we could get an extra forward, and will also give us the guarantee and the luxury of playing Florian Wirtz in the number 10 position more. I know he can do a false 9 option. I think we will see Florian Wirtz in the false 9 role come next season as well, in little spurts, especially if Ekitike doesn't really hit the ground running. But I prefer him in the number 10 option. But I don't prefer him on the left hand side on paper. And although he'll practically play as an inside number 10, even when he starts at left wing, I just can't. I think it makes us too predictable, because then we're too reliant on the left back in providing or giving us width. And I know Kirkes is an absolute monster running up and down. I had first-hand experience of it last weekend at Preston. But when we've got McAllister on that side, he does like to pick up, sort of third centre-back positions, or picking up that Tony Kroos role, or even going and attacking the box. He doesn't do it like Curtis Jones, who's a second option, who can hold width, or someone like Szoboszlai on the other side. So if the width is not coming from McAllister, in situations, and it's not coming from Wirtz, who will look to come inside all the time and, occupy those pockets, all the reliances on Milos Kerkez. So I just think it makes us too predictable. We will see it in games when we want Milos Kerkez to be the 6th attacker from a starting position. I don't think that's the plan. I might be wrong. That's just my opinion. A member, Ismail, thank you so much for becoming a member. Just text me, please, not text him, DM me on Twitter, and I'll send you the WhatsApp link. Habib, thanks for the pound. I can go to Poundland with that, but send me your message as well. Oh, here it is. Thank you. I think Hugo Ekitike has a really high ceiling. Look, he's got potential. The only thing I would be worried about is he underperformed his XG. Some people will say he missed a few penalties. That's gonna obviously affect it. But I think the underlying numbers still suggest, even without the penalties, that he should have got more goals. But look, there are some underlying numbers that will really encourage Liverpool. The shot volume is really high, so he likes a shot. And I think he can connect with play. And that's very, very important for Arne Slot. Whenever he talks about the number 9 profile, he just doesn't say he needs to score goals. And the 8 assists, albeit in the German league, is a very, very good return. And that tells me this guy he's got an eye for a pass as well as an eye for a goal. But he's got the football nous, or the intelligence, and just a general good footballer to what's the word I was looking for? It's gone out of my head. But a lot of you are telling me to check out Josh's new tweet. Is this it? The deal for Hugo Ekitike could be done at any moment, because we know Liverpool love to be fast. They are accelerating. Is this what you wanted me to put on the screen? It's not exactly exciting, man. I'm just going to wait for the chat before I carry on. There are more updates. Okay, let's go over. Here it is. Liverpool have presented a bid to Frankfurt close to £80 million. Frankfurt want more. Richard Hughes, with his strategy, was very clear. Let's try for Isak, but Ekitike is not a second choice. He's a player they wanted since beginning of the window. Okay. Right, let me just quickly go to check if that's the latest update from Anfield sector. The new deal could be done at any moment because we know Liverpool will be fast. They are accelerating. If nothing surprising happens on Newcastle side of Isak, Liverpool will go for Ekitike. So it looks like, Fabrizio is keeping the option open for um, Isak. So it looks like Liverpool have seen Newcastle. Maybe Newcastle will try to call their bluff. Let's go for Ekitike to get Liverpool's ass moving. And if they get Ekitike, at least we've got Isak for the next 12 months, and we'll cross the bridge when it comes to Isak's replacement in 12 months' time. That is their number one priority. And to be fair, if that is the case, you have to say Newcastle have done their job. But also Liverpool were acting from a position of strength. And it looks like everyone, I know Liverpool's dream was Isak, but it kind of feels like everyone's has got what they wanted. Because Liverpool did know how difficult the Isak deal was. And if they're simply not negotiating with us, you can't do anything. You can't blame the club. You can't have a go at Richard Hughes or Michael Edwards and say, get the deal done. They have tried. But, and there is a but. The but is if late on Alexander Isak approaches Newcastle officially with a transfer request, then what happens? Do Liverpool put the Ekitike deal on hold? Are Liverpool just advancing on the deal? Are all these journalists coming out because Liverpool are doing what they need to do just in case the deal of Isak doesn't happen? Or do we have to take this at face value, where Liverpool have to take Ekitike? He's raw, and he hasn't played. He hasn't played in the Premier League, so there's a lot of learning to do. Even when it comes to just playing for Liverpool, yeah, it's not exactly like we've been talking about Anthony Gordon coming from Newcastle. At least he knows the league. So, there's a lot of question marks, even though we're paying 75 to 80 million pounds for Ekitike. But what happens if Alexander Isak at the 11th hour puts in a transfer request? What happens? Do Liverpool put that on hold and go for Isak? What guarantees does a transfer request give him? And this is what I mean. Do we need to take it at face value that Liverpool have just done, though, have had those conversations with Isak's representatives and maybe the player, but ultimately he has got a big, massive no from Newcastle. The owners from Saudi have rang Newcastle and said, "We do not give a shit. We don't care. He is not leaving. He's massive to our project." And some people are saying Lethan is one of them, and says we get both. I wish, but I'm where a lot of you are at the moment. Yeah, there is. We shouldn't rule out because we never, never say never. And football is a strange thing, and we've seen a lot stranger things happen in football. But the likelihood is Liverpool press ahead because they've got that big, massive no from Newcastle. And look, maybe Isak has had that conversation with Newcastle and saying, "Look, I really want to leave, but we've been very stubborn when it comes to Luis Diaz. We've rejected about 2-3 offers. We rejected Mohamed Salah's, what was it, around about 150 million pound bid when the Saudis came in for him because it was just too late to do anything, and we still thought that he's our main man, which he was, and we were proven right the season after. So it's all about timing. Let me just go through. But the what I would say is the guys who are still on the Isak train, it is only 17th of July. And if the deal doesn't happen for Hugo Ekitike in the next 2-3 days, because it does seem like it's moving really, really fast. If it gets complete, it's officially over, isn't it? If it doesn't, and there's a bit of a silence period, where Liverpool just putting themselves in a position to get in front of Newcastle and just throw Newcastle out of the water. And some of the reports have officially come and said Newcastle out, and they're even looking at their third target in someone like a Wissa from Brentford. So were Liverpool doing that? And why would Liverpool, if they really, really want Alexander Isak and he's the dream signing, why wouldn't you take it right up to the end of the window? Why? Either, they're just 100% sure that he's not coming, or like I said, they're just putting themselves in a position in the Ekitike stance, in the Ekitike deal, where just in case we are there and it gets completed. But look, a lot of people will say, you're chatting shit and all that sort of stuff. Where I am at the moment, if I'm honest, yes, never say never, but I think Ekitike gets done in the next 24 to 48 hours, and maybe Liverpool want him to go to that pre-season tour. He has to have a lot of time with the coach, and the more time he has with the coach and the training field, and with his mates, then the better for Liverpool. There's 700 people here, by the way. Smash a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Aki's in the building. He says, Asim, check on you. Aki, I don't know where he's gone. I literally do not know where he's gone. I've been messaging him a couple of times, but it's just one tick on WhatsApp. The guy's gone into hiding. I want that conversation with Jake. I want that conversation. And I get it, Aki. Don't you worry. Let's go through a few super chats. Leighton P, thank you so much for sending this through. Could Rodrygo be the long-term Salah replacement? The best thing about a lot of our players, maybe you can't say it for Ekitike, but he's a specialized number 9. The wide forwards have to be very, very adaptable. And Leighton, I agree with you. I would prefer it if there's a left footer, because I just like the dynamic of a left footer being on the right hand side, because these guys are wingers on paper, but they're seen as attackers. And if the attacker is cutting inside and scoring, 5-10 goals with his favorite peg, then or more when it comes to Salah's case, I think that is a real option for us, and I like that really dynamic, and it's part of the modern football now, Leighton. So could he do a job? Of course, he's been doing a job there for Brazil. He's been doing a job there for Real Madrid. He's played for the biggest teams in the world there. So I also think he can maybe do something in the false 9 position, where you've got a bit of a Dembele, where he can come and connect with play. He's really, really good. He's got a really good football brain. So that is the beauty about these players that we're linked with. And even Anthony Gordon can do a job on the right-hand side. Not so much. I think he can do if you're absolutely desperate, up top as well. But I think Rodrygo and the likes of Dembele are just better footballers when it comes to that false 9 position. And when you do want to play that position, you need to be a really good connector. I think Anthony Gordon's best strength is carrying and running in behind. So even in the midfield area, the likes of McAllister, the likes of Szoboszlai, the likes of Ryan Gravenberch, when you've got multifaceted traits in players, then you can do what you want. And as we saw, and I know it was only Preston were really aggressive, and I know it's pre-season, but there's been better teams, much better teams than Preston, trying to really be really aggressive against us. And the best thing how to deal with really aggressive presses, when it comes to even someone like PSG, who I think do it really well, or Arsenal, I think in terms of structure and their press is probably the best in the league. You have to have fluidity. And if you go back and watch Liverpool versus PSG, Arsenal versus PSG, the first goal at Anfield, Dembele coming on the halfway line, you either have to go and follow him and get up his ass, or you just have to hang back and keep your structure. Because if you go, you have to go at the right time. If you stay, you have to make sure you don't get the midfielders running and trying to run into that space. So that is the dilemma the defenders have when it comes to someone like Dembele playing in that false 9 position. So you have to have the intelligence when to go as well. So I believe Liverpool have the fluidity. So that is the best way to confuse aggressive presses. To have the fluidity, and Preston and North End players who just didn't know what to do at times, and this is the reason why you saw Liverpool players popping up in different positions and just playing out the press really well. And many would you say, yeah, I know it's only Preston, but Liverpool have done that to a lot better teams in the league as well. Let's keep on going through the super chats. Sidi, thank you very much for sending this through, mate. Think we need a second, more proven striker if it's Ekitike. Yeah, we were mentioning this in the show. I don't know if you were on, Sidi. Mateta at least would give you, a guarantee of depending on how much time he would get in that role. But he could get 5 to 10 goals for Liverpool next season if he plays, gets a few minutes. So I would not be against the idea of someone like a Mikatadze, as long as we're not just absolutely, we keep our powder dry for maybe a signing in January or even next summer. Because what Liverpool are showing at the moment, they are at the top table for their signings. So all the excitement is coming Liverpool's way, and there's plenty of more to come with the potential signings of Mark Gahey and Rodrygo. Lee Robinson, hold that. I think this is a Newcastle fan. We know what Ekitike has decided to play 4-3-3. He didn't want to play 4-2-2. He didn't want to track that right back, because all Newcastle fans were telling me over the last couple of days is, no, we've got the option to play Isak on the left and Ekitike on in the number 9 position, and when they can interchange, you'll get, Eddie Howe's been playing 4-4-2 from his previous days in Bournemouth. All that absolute nonsense. It was nonsense, and this is the reason why he chose Liverpool. Liverpool told Newcastle that, what do you want to do? Because we're the bullies here. We're the bullies. You either talk to us on Isak, or we go sign your first choice and the one that you wanted for the last 2-3 years, and the one that you probably wish that you signed next year as well. So look, just don't tell us, thanks for the super chat, but don't tell us to hold that, because Liverpool are moving like the big boys and the big dogs. So you have a good season, and we'll see you on the second day of the season as well, because we'll be in the mood. We'll be in the mood. Atik's in the house. Ekitike in, but that doesn't seem mean Isak isn't happening. There's been no official confirmation that a potential Isak deal is off. Yes, Atik, we have discussed that, and you're right. But maybe some cynics will say, look, you just have to take the hint and do the make 2 + 2. But at the moment, are you making 5? Or are they just telling you with all these reports that you just have to take the hint and move on? The reason why we're moving with Ekitike and we're on the verge of putting an official bid in for him is because we want him, and we want to take him abroad for the pre-season. So time will tell. But you're right. Never say never. Never say never. And let's be honest, it's only been around about 12 hours that Fabrizio Romano himself said the story has just started. So let's see if it ends in the next 24 hours as well. Where are we? That's all the super chats covered. Mark Gahey. I think we've got a similar situation with Mark Gahey, where were Liverpool at when they signed Frimpong? They signed Frimpong, they signed Kirkes, and they signed Milo Florian Wirtz. Then there was a period of time Liverpool were always going to take stock of the thing, of the market and what's happening at their own club as well. Do we let go of Harvey Elliott? Do we have an offer of Chiesa? Darwin Núñez negotiations were just starting off then with Napoli. So there was always going to be a period of, not a period of lull, but a quiet period when it comes to incomings, because Liverpool had to sort their things out, and you have to attack the market at the right time as well, because we were finalizing our targets for the centre back area. We were pinpointing Ekitike maybe, and trying to work out the tactic for Alexander Isak as well, because we knew he's coming back. He's going to have those conversations with Newcastle, and the number 9 area will be addressed later on. And I think that's what the plan was. Then we had the absolute tragic circumstance of Diogo Jota passing away. And I think Liverpool, didn't do jack all for a week. But it looks like now Liverpool are moving fast in the market, because let's be honest, unfortunately, we've lost out on a week of negotiations. And Liverpool do want to get those signings, as many signings as possible, over to pre-season abroad to work with their new manager. So I think Mark Gahey is a similar situation to Ekitike, where we told him, and he's given us maybe his word, and this is just opinion, where he's given us his word, and we've told him to sit tight. We're going to work on other deals, and then we're going to sort Palace out, because at the moment Crystal Palace are trying to play a hard bargain where they're valuing their captain at £50 million, which Liverpool do not want to pay. They are looking around about maybe a compromise at around £40 million. And I think that deal will happen. So let's see. I think that is the reason why clubs like Newcastle and a few other clubs who would be interested in the England international, that's why I think those links haven't really got stronger, because I think Mark Gahey wants Liverpool and Liverpool want Mark Gahey. Okay, people, I'm going to leave it there. I've been live for 40 minutes. We are back tonight. If something breaks around about 7, 8 o'clock, we will. I'm playing badminton at around 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So you'll catch me at 10:30 with the rest of the lads. Smash a like, subscribe to the channel. Ismail, get in touch with me on Twitter and I'll send you the links. Asim, tell them how many likes we've got. Tell me how many likes we've got before I go. There's still 580 people in the chat. So don't tell me we're below 200, because I'll stay for another 10 minutes to make sure we get it up to 200. Where are you going, Asim? 214. Okay, that's fine. Let's get it up to 300 people before you all go off stream. And if you're watching the show later, let me know what you think of the whole situation. Is it a chess game? Liverpool will go back in for Isak. Are Liverpool simply going to go and complete this deal and move it fast, get Mark Gahey in, and then maybe look for a second attacker? Let me know what your thoughts are, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care and have a good afternoon, everyone. Bye.